back to our third conversation segment. I'm here with Stacy and Chandni, and we are talking about early childhood. And the third section we want to talk about is how to make developmental play happen for your children in your world, in your life, in your classroom. What is developmentally appropriate play? So who would like to go first?
When we talk about developmentally appropriate play, developmentally appropriate practice here, it's meeting the children where they are, and um, developmentally what is right for that child. When I'm doing trainings for schools, I tell teachers what is developmentally appropriate for the children you have in the here and now, because your group of 3-year-olds you have right now might be completely different than the group of 3-year-olds you have next year. So what is meeting the needs of the children that you have right now? And if you watch the other segment we did talking about our passions and aspects of early childhood, when we talk about developmentally appropriate practice with gross motor development and language and literacy, some things I recommend is having big equipment, wheelbarrows, big boxes, big containers, having where children can like scoop things up, like sand or dirt, but where they can like walk around with heavy things. It's called heavy work. Having hula hoops, boxes, scars, but anything just that encourages movement that children can manipulate and move around. And I think also just having children experiencing authentic sounds in their environment. With our digital technology, children are plugged in a lot, so they're not hearing as much human voices as generations past. They're not hearing just natural sounds as much. So, through child-led play, designing this environment, kind of getting out of the way, children will organically hear these sounds, and this will help with the phonological awareness, which is a critical component of reading and writing.
What age would you recommend this to start with, Stacy?
At birth. Honestly, I would say, of course, again, and that's being developmentally appropriate. So what we would have for children birth to 12 months is going to be completely different from what we would have for like a 4 to 5-year-old. But making sure, like, if you are around infants, that you're having conversations with them and you're singing with them, and that the materials we have around them have authentic sounds. I don't recommend materials that have or toys that have batteries that create the sound. I don't think that's as authentic. But and then just making sure that the environment grows as the child grows, and again, it's just meeting those needs. So but yeah, this is something that starts from day one.
So what I hear from you is being intentional and being thoughtful and bringing things in the environment where the child can manipulate and extend the play.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
What about you, Chandni? What would you recommend all children have?
Yes, I think I would recommend a play with the loose parts. Loose parts are always available at your home. You don't really have to go to markets and look for those fancy toys, look for those expensive toys, because ultimately children are driven with the loose parts. A simple wire, a simple screws. You can offer them carpentry. I mean, I'm going to start the carpentry in my home school very soon, and you can give them the protocols beforehand, that when you're using a hammer, you can give them saw under your provision, of course, under your supervision, sorry. And you can tell them that how one wood connects with the other wood and it can make something. So the feeling of making something from the hands, I feel the hands for this age is very important. That's
So,
why we say the hands-on experience.
so Chandni, I'm curious, what is the developmentally appropriate equivalent in India? What is that called, and does it exist?
So unfortunately, Prerna, there is no setup like governmentally appropriate, like how in US this is a government initiative, I suppose, the DAP, or the Developmentally Appropriate Program.
Not so much government, but mostly everybody who's done research on early childhood has promoted it.
Okay.
And the
Okay.
government is behind in following it, but
But there is some structure, I'm sure. It's not in the air. It's not in
what
the bubble.
is in India?
Yeah, so we don't have any structure as such because a lot of people are experimenting on their own, and a lot of people are not even aware of developmentally appropriate practice. Because I feel the first and foremost practice of being developmentally appropriate is not to give the child an exposure of pencils or pens for writing. They shouldn't be writing under the age of 7, before the age of 7, because if you see the x-rays, I was shocked to see two x-rays. One child the two children were there, so one was 7-year old and one was 2-year old. The x-ray had both the children's hands had some major differences. The joints were not completely formed for the 3-year old, and the joints were completely formed for the 7-year old. So this is the first developmentally appropriate practice, that we shouldn't be forcing them to write.
Oh, she just dropped off. But I think what she was talking about was, how we could use the fine motor to strengthen our muscles. She was referring to the joints were not developed. And what I would add to that is giving them lots of fine motor to develop the muscles. So, writing tools are one way, but Play-Doh is another way, and anything that we can squeeze and strengthen our muscles so that when the joints do have to connect, they have strong ways to connect. I'm guessing she will be able to come back. And for me, I would say what is developmentally appropriate with social emotional foundation is labeling the emotions and labeling the feelings. Starting very early on, if the adult can start calling out, you look really upset, you look embarrassed, you look shy, you look hesitant, you are really enjoying that, you look joyous, you are really excited. So once we start labeling the emotions, once we start labeling the feelings, it gives the children a vocabulary to express themselves. And I think it becomes easier to raise children and educate children if they can express themselves. It's not a mystery anymore.
Exactly.
And,
yeah.
Yeah, we can connect it back to the brain, and we can connect it back to the strong neuron connections that we want all children to have. So I had a few resources to share, and maybe I can share this one. This is my new favorite book. It's called The Brain is a Big Deal.
I haven't seen that one. I like it.
I know I'm always on the hunt for new books. I just absolutely love, love, love getting new ideas. This one is a great way to explain to children what does the brain do and how does it control your body. And earlier you were giving an example of how to lift something heavy, but your brain has to give the message to your fingers to lift it. So understanding what the brain does is a really good way of helping starting conversations with children. Children's books, I feel like, are amazing to have great conversations with children. I'm glad that you came back. I'm sure it's the internet that dropped out. You were in mid-sentence.
Sorry, I think I lost the internet.
No worries. Did you want to finish your thought? Okay, so I'll keep going. And this is another thing. I love this book, I Am Human. And this is all about the emotions. This has empathy in it, this has compassion in it, this has heavy heart in it, feeling sadness in it, this has equality in it. We're all talking about equality, and this is an awesome book, which is great to start. This is my another favorite one. I think, Stacey, you've heard me say this one enough times. Have you filled your bucket? This is a great one to talk about the concept about how we can help each other feel happy or sad when we are being bucket dippers or bucket fillers. These are amazing resources. I would absolutely recommend to everybody. My last one, to build self-esteem. Stand Tall, Molly Lou Mellon.
Molly Lou Mellon.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite children's books.
Oh my God.
I love that book.
Yes, I love it because she has glasses, she's short. I love it. This is such a good one to feel self-confident and feel good about whatever God has given you. Celebrate what God has given you. Okay.
One of my, I should say real quick about the Molly Lou Mellon book. One of the things I love in that book is Molly Lou Mellon is kind of being picked on by one of her peers, and how she's taught to kind of overcome it, kind of have a conversation with him, and then how in the end they kind of develop a friendly relationship. But that's one of my favorite books.
Yes. So Molly Llewellyn is my favorite because it's her grandma who gives her the self-confidence. And I have
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
I have grandchildren, so I feel like, you know, this is my favorite. So I've read it with my granddaughter. I actually read it in her kindergarten classroom. They loved it. They loved it. Okay, Chandni, any resources to share? Stacy, any resources to share?
Yeah, real quick, and this is more so from a parent educator standpoint. This is one of my favorite books called Balanced and Barefoot, and it's by Angela Hanscom, who is an occupational therapist. And a lot of the things that we all three talked about, especially like the gross motor development, but she talks about our internal senses, the vestibular system and the proprioceptive system. And she just gives valid research and just really background on why children should be moving. I always say if you need a talking point for your stakeholders to bring back merry-go-rounds and swings and seesaws in the playground, this is your go-to, because she talks about what happens if children are not having these experiences. And then she also talks about how these experiences are critical for children functioning in school and then in life down the line. So I think it's a must read for parents and educators.
Would you bring it closer to the camera? I want to make sure
I
we
sure will. Balanced in barefoot. Oh, let me hold it where you can see. And if you go to my Instagram page, and go down on my grid, I have this posted several times. So I can't recommend. I mean, you can see all my tabs and notes. Yeah.
I can see it's been loved. I can see it tagged up. Any other resources?
Yeah, one book I would like to share, Preena and Stacy, but I have it in school, so I'm just going to show it on the Amazon. If you can see, can you see it?
No, just tell us the name. Oh yeah, there you go. Slow down.
Oh, there. Yes.
Love
Slow
it.
down.
Love it. Love
Okay.
it. Awesome.
Yeah. So this is a wonderful book, and it tells the stories. There are 50 nature stories on how a butterfly, a small egg, converts into a butterfly, and you know how you need to be patient. How you need this. So basically, children understand about taking turns, and for everything there's a time. So there are some beautiful songs also attached to it, and some beautiful words are there. Vocabulary is so amazing. I mean, it's
Beautiful.
not like any regular vocabulary.
So
So
Chandni,
overall, it's
is this book to use with children or is it for adults to explain
no.
concepts?
So this is for children. This is
Got
for
it.
children. Yeah.
So if anybody's looking for Christmas list, we have just shared some good resources. I am definitely going to be getting Slow Down. I'm constantly looking for good books. So definitely Slow Down is going to be on my list. Thank you for sharing that. Any other resources, either one of you?
I said that's usually my go-to is the one I showed y'all.
I have so many go-to. I love children's books. I have a massive library at home and I keep adding to it.
Same here. Even I have a very big
Yeah.
library. Maybe I can send a snapshot of my library itself.
I know
Yeah.
Yeah, and we all can do that. I mean, we all can share each other's libraries. What could be more amazing than this?
Yes, I
Yeah,
have found a new
exactly.
book. I didn't bring it here, but I found a new one. It's called The Interrupting Chicken. And it's really to explain the concept of interrupting to children and how we have to be patient for our turn. So interrupting chicken is a nice one as well. Okay, so this wraps up our time together. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Chandni, for taking the time to join the global early childhood conversation. And I hope that you found it helpful if you're watching these videos. If you haven't checked them out, there's 3 of them. Make sure you watch all 3 of them. And we would love to hear from you. If you have any comments or if you have any questions, maybe we'll do this again. Who knows? We had so much fun. Who knows?
It
Thank
was
you.
amazing catching up with both of
Yeah.
you.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, I think it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
From different perspectives around the world, we have something in common, children, and our passion for early childhood. Thank you guys. Have a great rest of the day. Bye for now.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much. Thank you.